Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. This is your first time here. Hello, my name is Nina Adio, and I am a social media marketing expert, I guess is the term. But what feels more aligned for me is like social media marketing obsessor, specifically for the wedding industry. So you are in the right place if you are looking to learn some social media and marketing tips specifically for your wedding business, whether you be a venue owner, a venue sales manager, whether you own a photo booth company, event planning, makeup, the works, everybody. We're trying to talk to everybody here. And today I have the type of episode I don't normally do, in the sense that I normally teach about organic growth. So that's a slow grow, with follower counts and engagement. But right now is a big tiny year for us in the wedding industry. Between Christmas and New Year's, we're going to get a lot of proposals. We've already seen a lot of proposals. So I wanted to do an episode on 5 tips to grow your Instagram fast without buying anything. So without buying followers, without buying ads and so forth. Ads are not bad, of course, to buy. If you can buy ads, go ahead and do it. But I'm not an ads expert. I will be having some ads experts on the show pretty soon, so that's exciting. But until then, I want to talk about these tips for fast Instagram growth. And we're going to stick specifically to Instagram. It's very possible that you take some of these tactics and apply them elsewhere, and you will experience that growth as well. But before I do that, I wanted to do something new that I haven't done, which is to shout out some people who have mentioned the podcast to me on social media, on Instagram, and so forth. So first, I want to give out a shout out to Ashley. You can find her on Instagram at Perfect Day by A, and she is in the New England, specifically New Hampshire area. So if anybody is looking for full planning, partial planning, or day of coordinators to network with in the New England area, check out Perfect Day by A. And the other account who left me a comment that just I just thought was a fun comment was their private account. So I'll just say the name on the account, which is KL. So shout out to KL and Ashley for making my day. If you mention the podcast, you're gonna make my day. So that's all there is to that. That's all it takes. That all it takes to make my day. But now let's get into the tips. If you want to grow your Instagram fast before 2024. So let's make this, you could do this as a 11-day commitment. You could do this as a 10-day commitment. You can extend it a bit and be like 2 weeks. I'm just gonna go hard on Instagram, or what happens. Ideally, the more time you give it, the more of an opportunity you're going to have to see the growth. So if you commit to these tactics for a month, you're going to see more, of course, than if you were just doing it for 2 weeks. But of course, because I am all about the sustainable consistency, I don't want to outright say you should do this for a month or 3 months. But what I will say instead is that I have found that committing to a length of time has made this more tangible for me, because right now I am doing some of these myself. And first I said, I'm going to do this for as long as I can. And I said, well, that's overwhelming. Like that could end tomorrow. So I said, well, I have to figure out what my goal is with it and what the duration is going to be. And so I said, my goal is for me, I'm posting more frequently. And that's the first one I'll get into more in a second. But I want to show you how I approach this. I said, I'm going to post more for more frequently for a month. So that end date is January 18th. And I'm doing this so I can report on the differences to my audience and ideally also receive growth. So I logged what I found to be what I think is going to be my relevant stats, which is reach, because I think we're going to see a difference in reach first, and then follower count, because that's the more tangible vanity metric we go with. And there's something to be said for followers. I know we always say, and I always say especially, it's not just about the follower count, but to a degree, the follower count is an indicator that what you're doing is working. So it can be important too. So I track those numbers, and I track TikTok as well, because I've been experimenting on TikTok too. But this episode, like I said, is just going to be Instagram. So number one is to up your posting frequency with at least 75% of your posts being reels. And I'm going to have the data for you on how this goes for me after doing it for a month. But if you're looking to grow your following fast, getting that vertical video content is going to make a big difference and be a big help. Now, there's a lot you can do with Reels, especially now. When Reels first came out, 2020, it was kind of face only, but there are so many things that are working now, down to, look, here's something I do that I keep in my B-roll. Everyone's talking about B-roll. How cool are we now, guys, that we can use B-roll? Like, I feel like such a celeb that I'm like, oh, well, this is for my B-roll. But what I'll do is I'll just put my fancy looking mug. It's not even always fancy. I'll put my mug in the Keurig. I'll leave my video out and I'll just record it filling. And that becomes B-roll. Take a bouquet you're working on and just fluff it and record it. That's B-roll. And then you put stuff over it. And it could be some really simple stuff like a countdown to 2024, saying in 1 week, 2024 couples can say this is the year they're getting married. Comment your date below. You can talk about one of your packages. You can put one of your favorite wedding quotes, something like that. What I've also been doing is following accounts like I love old movies. So take the equivalent of what works for you. For me, following TCM works really well for me. And I can either take an audio that they've used from the movie clip and record myself with it, or B-roll, or I will download the clip itself and add my funny caption to it. So let me direct you to my profile of where you can find an example of this. And I'll leave the direct link to the post below. But on my profile, you'll see the thumbnail image as it's like a, gosh, this is where it's coming clear I'm not a florist. It's like pine leaves. It's not a tree, but it looks like what you'd find on a tree with dried fruit. Click that, with dried oranges and candles. And it's a Judy Garland clip that I took from TCM and added my spiel to. And that's how I made a reel really quickly. And so those are just some ideas of how you can repurpose create things for reels. Okay, I'm getting distracted because each idea I think of, I'm thinking of something else to tell you guys. You're going to want to write this down. To download that clip, I used a site called inflact.com, inflact.com. And I put in the URL of the clip and pasted it in there and got a download of it. And that's how I got the Judy Garland clip. But this is overall to say you want to be posting as many reels as possible. And I wanted to give you some examples of how you can create those reels. And look, if you're looking for ideas, just send me a message. I'm happy to chat about it with you. And maybe we can do a follow-up episode on 5 fast reels ideas. So if you think that would be a good follow-up to this, let me know and we'll do it. So now, number 2, to grow your Instagram following fast before 2024, collaborator posts. What are collaborator posts? That is when you post a photo, a video, etc. And when you go to tag somebody, you can invite them as a collaborator rather than just tagging them. The result is that if they accept your invitation, your post will go to their feed and to yours. So now you have doubled your reach. Here are some examples of how this has worked. For my venues, a photographer, wedding planners, videographers, anyone who worked at the venue will post their footage from it, their photo, etc., and invite the venue as a collaborator. So I'll accept it, and now it's on the venue's page and their page. So now the reach has been doubled. So if you have footage from an event you've done at a venue, or the photographer gave you the images, or somebody you worked with, invite them as a collaborator. They don't have to accept. If they don't want to, they won't, but very often they do. And it's good for both of you. They just got free content to their feed, and you just got exposed to an extended audience. So you could get strategic with this. For if I'm working with a wedding showcase, for example, and they have a lot of vendors attending, I will look to see which vendors have a lot of followers, because I know I want to collaborate with them, because my chances are even bigger. So you can be strategic with it. I think venues are a great place to start, or the photographers and videographers, because they're giving you the footage. So those are some things you can explore with there. Next up, and this is in similar vein to the collaborator post, is to do Instagram lives with other people. And the benefit of this not only is the live interaction, and if people tune in to the live that you do and interact there, you're more likely to get pushed out to them in other places. But if you do it with somebody else, now once again, you're doubling your audience. So somebody has the opportunity to meet you on a really personal level, because you're appearing on an Instagram live with somebody they're already following and likely trust. So now it's a great time of year to collaborate with vendors or other experts in your areas, and just kind of talk shop together on an Instagram live. So I'll give some quick tips for Instagram lives, and that is that I always pre-prepare questions and topics. Even if the intention is for it to be a Q&A, I'll post up a story with a question box in advance. And even if people don't answer it, I'm bringing questions. I'll text some people and be like, give me a question. Or I'll just ask ChatGPT for questions, whatever you have to do. So this way, if it's building up and taking some time to get feedback and comfort from people watching live, you have plenty to talk about. And I always like to get at least one friend. My siblings get this all the time. My husband, even one person who's going to come in right at the start. So I know that we are talking to somebody. So those are my quick tips for Instagram Live. Tip number 4 to grow your Instagram following fast before 2024 is to be engaging in the right places. Where you spend your time on the platform is really important if you want to grow fast. So one piece of advice I see a lot by the gurus in the industry is to spend some time on the explore page and commenting on things that align there. Why commenting? And it's because your comments get seen. People see that you've commented, maybe they resonate with it, etc. But what I really think, aside from the explore page, is I want you to think about where couples are going as soon as they get engaged. All right, so they're probably either following, if you have a local bridal magazine, a local bridal blog, bridal salons, maybe venues. Who's following them right now? Who's engaging with them right now? Get in there and engage in those spaces too, because it's very likely that that's where those couples are going. Think about where they're going first. Think about what are your top proposal places. You will find them, guys, because I do this all day, every day, and I see it happening. I'll look up the most romantic restaurants in the area. There's the scenic areas. I'm on an island, so there's a lot of beachfront areas. But whatever that is for you, it could be a local park, like I mentioned, a local restaurant. Sometimes even the local light shows, those are big for proposals. I mean, New York City, the tree, is a big spot. But figure out what those spots are in your area, and you want to go to them. I'm telling you, every day while you're in this area of fast growth. If you know this is where the people are going, go there. Or if you notice a bridal account that's local to you is doing giveaways, that's where you see anyone who's entering a bridal giveaway is having a wedding. So that's a great place to start to find people and engage with them. And when I say engage, I'm not talking intrusive, right? If their profile is private, means I'm not really getting the chance. If it's public, it means all right, they like the comments. They like the congratulatory comments on their post, or just saying, what a romantic proposal, or just liking a few of their posts. You don't have to go nuts. I don't pitch in the DMs. That's me personally, because if your profile is optimized, you're not going to need to, because they're going to see your handle and know what you do. They're going to see your profile and know what you do. You don't need to then flood them in the DMs with follow-ups and this and that. That's me personally. You could try it and report back. I'll have you on an episode. Let me know. And now tip number 5 relates to what I just said, but every post optimized. So, and this is something I experiment with, because sometimes I'll look and I'll see, wow, I didn't hashtag that post and it did well. But that's also a risk, right? So if we're going for optimal growth, we want every post to have hashtags, geotags, which is the location tag, an audio if possible. If there's somebody to invite as a collaborator, invite them. But if there's accounts to tag them. Everything the post needs to grow. So let me just go through this a bit more. So let's say I'm doing a feed post from a wedding I did. For feed posts, look, there are so many Instagram theories that we can go through, and I don't want to get too caught up in them. But feed posts, they still say, the gurus, the word on the street is that, doing a lot of hashtags can still work. For reels, they say 3 to 6. It's all a numbers game, and you'll drive yourself nuts changing every time you hear something new. So you just have to stick with something and go, right? Because by posting, upping our frequency, we're upping our odds. So don't get too caught up on these little things. So I think for optimal growth, you want every post to have hashtags, the geotag, which is the location of where it was. All right. You want to either do the actual venue, the city, the town, the state, whatever it is, you got to have something. Instagram does have a feature for posts, image posts, not reels, to have audio. I've been adding those when I post live on the platform, and I've been doing that because I want Instagram to see that I'm taking all of their features seriously. So I forgot to mention this earlier when talking about collaborator posts, but I'll mention it now for optimization. If I have a collaborator I can invite, I will invite them, but I can only do that when I'm doing it live on the platform. So what I mean, when I'm scheduling ahead on Later, I'm not able to invite a collaborator post. Later is the platform I use to schedule. If anybody has a scheduling platform that is allowing collaborator posts when scheduling, let me know. But as far as I have seen, we're not able to do that yet. So I will post those live. And what I will do, if you're using Later like I am, instead of having it post automatically, I'll have it notify me that a post is ready, and then I'll go in and post it myself with the collaborator post. So it's still scheduled, but I have to be the one to go in and publish it. So let me know if that you need a little more of a breakdown on that, and I can do even an episode all about Later, where we can talk about the pros and cons and what I like about it, things you can do on a scheduling platform, and things that are better live on the app. But let's do a quick summary about this, guys, okay? So, to grow your Instagram following fast before 2024, I need you to up your posting frequency with at least 75% of what you're posting being reels. What does upping your frequency look like? To me, it is posting at the very least once a day, but really, if we're trying to get as much growth as possible in a short time frame, I think you should post 2 to 3 times a day. I said it. Okay, that's a lot. But if you're just trying between now and New Year's to grow, do it. Do it. Do it. See what happens. Okay. The next is collaborator post. Strategically posting to showcase the people you worked with. Hey, this is great for the end of the year. Why? Because you can go through 12 of your best weddings you worked on. Pick 12 weddings, and for the next 12 days, that's 12 posts, and make them collaborator posts. Next is to do an Instagram live with other people. Do you have a bestie in the industry, someone who you can turn to do these things? This is the time to pull in for those favors, or just put it out on your stories. If you're a bit more shy to do the direct ask, put on your stories that you are looking to do an Instagram live with tangible tips for people who are just getting engaged in your area, and see if anybody would like to collaborate. Number 4 was to engage in the right places and in the right ways. What I forgot to mention was, when you're engaging, it doesn't just mean comments or likes. You can respond to stories. Stories are a great way to start an organic conversation with somebody without a sales pitch, just a genuine response to something they are posting. And the last tip was to make sure every post is optimized with what it needs to reach other people. People can search for posts based on hashtags, based on geolocation tags, based on the audios being used, and based on the people being tagged. So you want to make sure your post includes all of that. Guys, I still have the ChatGPT for wedding marketing course at the Black Friday price. I decided not to increase it. So you'll probably still be able to get that price at least through this holiday week. So you can check that out at my website, idoweddingmarketing.com, or in the show notes below. This was a fun episode to do. Let me know if you think you are going to take the challenge and do any of these tips for fast growth before 2024. Thanks for listening, guys, and I will be back next Wedding Wednesday on the I Do Wedding Marketing podcast.